Hello, my name is James. I'm a curate in Norwich, a church called Holy Trinity. We're going to think just for a few minutes about what it means to say that God is omnipresent. Why is that good news for us? We lived for a few years in North London, and there's what at first sight seems a pretty unremarkable metal strip that you can go to in the ground in London. You can easily miss it, but in truth it's one of the most famous places in the world. It's the Greenwich Meridian line, 0 degrees of latitude. We measure the time each day in relation to the moment the sun crosses that line. Stand west of that line and you're behind in time, stand east and you're ahead. And you can have a bit of fun if you want to, and stand with either foot either side of that line and sort of kid yourself that half of you is minus GMT and the other is plus GMT. Of course, in reality, you can only be in one place at one time. And in this current lockdown situation we're in, we feel that more than ever, don't we? That we can only be in one place, and for many of us, that's being in our homes much more than we want to. As we think about God being omnipresent, we are remembering that God is in all places. Listen to Psalm 139 and verse 7. David writes, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?" It's as if David's playing a game of imaginary hide and seek with God. He goes to the heavens and he finds God still there. He goes to the depths and God is there too. Teleports himself Star Trek style from Norwich to Cheadle, only to find God there too. What are we saying we mean then when we say God is omnipresent? Let's think of it like this. All of God in all places, all at once. All of God in all places, all at once. Let's explore that a little bit further. Here's the first thing to see as we consider that. Firstly, then, God is everywhere, but not in the same way. God's everywhere, but not in the same way. Imagine a piano playing and the tune's present in the air around you. But for one person, that tune will enter the mind and stay with them. They'll find themselves singing it in the shower the next day. Music can be around us, but it can be in us too, can't it? And it's like that with God's presence. God is present in all creation, but he is specially present to human beings as he creates, sustains, guides. He's present to all human beings, but the Bible says he is extra specially present to his people, to his covenant people. He promises to dwell amongst them in the Old Testament. He does that through the tabernacle, through the temple. In the New Testament, for those following Christ, we know his grace as he calls us, forgives us, lives in us and leads us. So firstly, God is everywhere, but not always in the same way. Here's the second thing. God is everywhere, but not only everywhere. The Bible reminds us that the world we see is not all there is. There's the world of sky and earth, but there's the heaven as well. There is heaven as well. God is not only in this creation, but also in eternity. So in 1 Kings in the Old Testament, 1 Kings 8:27, Solomon builds God a temple fully aware that a piece of stonework can't contain God. And he praises God also that the heavens cannot contain you. God is not only in creation, but in heaven and on earth. He is in eternity, unlimited by space, neither here nor there. God is everywhere then, but not only everywhere. Here's the third thing. God is not only here, but there. If I'm in my home here in Norwich, I can't be with you also in Cheadle. I can't divide myself into parts. In a Zoom meeting, maybe you've experienced this recently. Sometimes I've found, maybe I'm the only one, that I'm not fully there with all my attention. I might be reading a message or on my phone or emails popped in that's got my attention. But God is not only here, but there fully, perfectly present to all places and people at once. So So thirdly, God's not only here, but there. Here's the fourth thing. God is not only there, but here. Some people think that God is far away. He wound up the world and left it to tick along. But listen to verse 8 of Psalm 139. David writes, "If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there." Any there that I can think of has God present. Be that at Ghana, or the Great Barrier Reef, or Norwich, or Manchester. And David also knows that God is not only there, but God is here as well. And God's presence here with us actually is great news, because he is present here with us in his love. Verse 10 of Psalm 139, "Even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast." See, God is here with us, and as we come to the Gospels, we see that God turns up here in this world. In Matthew 1:23, speaks of Jesus as Emmanuel, God with us, God here with us. God is not only there, but here. Well, I want to just finish by thinking, just for another couple of minutes, if it's true that all of God is present in all places, all at once, what difference does that make? Why is that good news? Why is that a truth to rejoice in and cling to? Well, here's a few thoughts just to close on. It means that Christ is close to us. Perhaps you're listening to this and you know that God is there, but perhaps this is the first time you've heard that he's here too, close, wherever you are. So Isaiah 55 says, "Call on him while he's near." Christ died for you and he is alive forever. Christ is close to you. Secondly, God cares for you. It's easy to think that a pandemic cannot be in God's plan. It mystifies us, doesn't it? We don't know why this is happening. But God's omnipresence calls for a different response. In all things, he works for the good of those who love him. That's what Romans 8:28 says. God cares for you. He's present in this situation. Thirdly, God's hand leads and holds you fast. God sustains and guides all that takes place. Does that mean then that prayer has no role? Actually, quite the opposite. Prayer is one of the ways God brings about his goals for our good and his glory. So keep praying daily, weekly with your church, or whatever rhythm you may have as a church family. Fourthly, God sees all of you. David says in Psalm 139, "Search me and know me." So we can say this same truth to God. He's gracious and great, all supplying and all seeing. To know that he sees my every thought actually helps me steer clear of temptation. To know that he sees every action stirs me on to love and good deeds. Here's the last reason why God's omnipresence is good news. God is your greatest delight. Paul says from prison in Philippians 1, that for him to live is Christ and to die is gain. He desires to depart, for this life to come to an end and to be with Christ, but he knows that he needs to stay, to encourage his readers to keep going, to press on, to rejoice in Jesus. Desire closeness to Jesus. Pray that he'll fill you with his Spirit daily to know his delight today and in eternity. Let me finish by reading just a few verses from Psalm 139. "Where can I go from your Spirit?" Verse 7. "Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you."
majesty.